All right, gang.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Throw a set for me.
Yeah.
Throw a set for me.
Yeah.
Clap it up for me. Come on. Shout out Lotto. Episode 76
for me.
of the Five Aside podcast.
Up.
Today you are joined by
What's going on, guys? Seb.
Gabriel here.
Kendrick.
Yes, very, very exciting stuff to get into. We have the Champions League heading into its last match day. 18 matches playing off at once for the first time ever. Kendrick has printed out notes on a variety of topics like an old man because he can't read his phone because the letters are too small. We got Antony headed to La Liga. Spurs can't win anything. Referee drama. Brazilian drama with Neymar to Santos and some beef right there. Paris Fashion Week was lit up, full of footy things as well. But we're going to start with the Champions League. So we are heading into, once again, the last match day of the new format. So this is match day 8 of the league table / group stage phase, which used to only be 6 matches. We have a very large variety of possibilities of what could happen. There's not very much clarity other than the top 3 teams are already going into the last 16 with those top 8 positions, but there's just endless permutations for how things could end. Man City is actually currently out of the top 24, so they are required to win to get a place or to even have an opportunity to go to the last 16. A lot of games, a lot of drama. The table's going to look completely different by the end of this round. But 1, how are we feeling overall about this format? And 2, some predictions or thoughts on this last match day.
I don't think we have to spend too much time on this because we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yep.
But I think, in hindsight, I think they've done a good thing with the format.
Yeah.
I think I've enjoyed this Champions League format way more than I have in the past because every game is counted, and I can't wait for this last match day. Generally, last match days are kind of boring. People tend to watch those less than others. But we get to watch Man City have to struggle to get in, and every single club has a certain level of stakes attached to their next game. So I think at the end of the day, we hate on UEFA a lot, but congratulations to them because I think they did a good thing.
And I think the irony in it is that this was Florentino Perez's idea of the Super League table with all the best teams in a single league that UEFA shot down, took the sauce, and now everybody's happy with. So Florentino, I think he was right in terms of format. I don't want that to replace now that we also have a knockout stage. But he was kind of right in terms of the excitement of that league table. I think it's provided more excitement. And I think some people are saying UEFA expected this to help the bigger teams more because it's actually more opportunity, which you would think is less chance for upsets. But even though it's 8 games instead of 6, there's actually been more upsets. So Man City might not even qualify.
I think one thing that people haven't spoken about a lot is that I think this new format has brought parity to English soccer in the sense that it's even harder now to compete in the Champions League than it used to be. So it makes it even more difficult for teams that are in the top 3, top 4, like generally not 1 and 2, but in that like qualifying for Champions League consistently, but not winning the league consistently zone. So like now you're competing in Europe in an even harder setting, whether it's Europa League or Champions League or Conference League. Yeah. So now you're seeing clubs like I'm blanking.
Aston Villa.
No, like Nottingham Forest. You're seeing clubs like Bournemouth.
You're saying in the Premier League table. I see what you're saying.
Idea where he was going.
So what I'm saying is they're taking advantage of how hard playing in Europe has been for these clubs that have generally been in the top 6.
Yeah.
And because their seasons have become even more difficult because there's so many different games that they have prepared for. Like remember, you prepared for 3 teams before.
Yeah, now it's 7.
Now it's 7 different teams. So there's way more
8 actually,
way more issues that are going on, way more different changes in the squad. And so it makes it even harder to compete in the tournament. And so, of course, you're going to get more parity in the league because these clubs are not dealing with all that stress. So I think it's going to actually be a good thing for domestic leagues.
Yeah, I think what's huge, too, is like before, if you win your first 3 Champions League games, you're kind of set almost.
It's not the case.
It doesn't mean, because it's so much longer. It's all one table. Just because a few teams tie, because sometimes in a group, right, you're winning all your games, and then let's say you win your first 3, and the first 3 of the other team's matches are all draws. Now you have this big advantage. You know, and if you don't lose the rest, you just go through. So
it's also mentally much more stressful.
It is.
Mentally much.
And what's interesting, too, is it actually gives you a lot of leeway that you could be 24th and still have an opportunity. So it really goes both ways.
It's good.
And I think overall, the best team in Europe for this season is going to find a way to win it. There's no excuses.
Correct. Yep.
So, you know, I don't think it's like, oh, we're trying to not have the best team. Like, the best team's going to win it regardless. So, yeah, that's what I think. Any thoughts?
You know who's struggling regardless?
Spurs.
Tottenham.
This is bad, guys.
Stinky Tottenham this weekend lost to
Yeah.
17th place Leicester City.
Yeah, it's true.
It's bad, bro.
A team facing relegation, a team that has struggled all season to get wins. Tottenham, a team that has been struggling but is supposed to be one of the top teams in England.
15.
This was their opportunity to get an easy 3 points and get out of there. And they fumbled. They collapsed, gave up 2 goals in a span of 10 minutes, and just lost the plot from there.
It's true.
They're finished, bro.
And they
I seen
lost
that.
before this to Everton, who's currently sitting in 16th place.
I seen a Tottenham fan take a picture of the last ring and smash it against his head live on a podcast. They're not.
Was that Fuad?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Fuad,
They're
yeah.
not in a good place. Man.
Crashing out, bro. Tottenham fans right now are crashing out. We got some videos we can put in here, but
At the
goddamn.
beginning of the season, my girl wanted to become a fan of a Prem club.
And you said they would get second place.
And well, that was yeah, that was part of my advice. But she was like, at the end of the day, like I didn't advise her to become a Tottenham fan. She was like, oh, I want to be a fan of a club that's not gonna win, but probably could win in the near future, and like is looking to rebuild. And I suggested Aston Villa, I suggested Newcastle, I suggested Tottenham. And she had seen the Tottenham kits. She thought the Tottenham kits were cool. She'd fallen for the Heung-min Son propaganda, and so she was like, all right, this could be a good club to root for.
Young Son propaganda.
It's true.
Wow.
I think at this point, I don't know if it would be such a bad thing to change clubs. I don't think anyone would blame her.
She ain't know, bro.
Yeah,
she ain't know.
exactly.
She ain't know,
I think
man.
I think you get a 1 year trial period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first year you might have to switch, bro.
Yeah.
You might have to switch.
It's crazy. It's bad. I mean, do they fire Ange? Do they give him one more season? Do they at least see how the season plays?
It's not even him, bro.
Yeah.
It's just the team is in shambles. That mentality is gone.
It's bad.
Yeah.
The mentality, like in soccer, everything is fucking mentality.
That's a
bro.
fact.
Like, can you keep your head? They've lost the plot. Bro. They actually don't know what to do on the pitch. Like,
Yeah.
Once they get a certain amount of pressure, but like it seems like the crowd is
Collapse.
Yeah.
they're cooked.
Now, will
Jamie
they?
Vardy flexing on you at 9 in the morning. Oh my God.
It's 9 in the morning.
9 in the
for me,
morning
it was
here
not-
though.
for
You
me, it was
wake
9
up,
in the
yeah.
morning.
It's like, bro, I didn't get my coffee yet. Like, it's crazy. It's nuts. You know what, man? The funny thing about Spurs though, could they mess around and win the Carabao Cup or Europa League?
Nah.
They could win the Europa League.
Nah.
No, I've seen it before. Roma
Sevilla won it at like,
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about
15th
other teams, bro.
place?
This Tottenham team is actually in the mud.
and it's the only way. That's like their only chance to get into Europe, which would be the Champions League, which would be hilarious.
They're in the
No,
mud.
it's so possible.
But I think it's possible too.
So possible.
Because you can like, they have the talent that if we say, yo, I know we're like 17th right now in fighting relegation, but we just need,
Focus on
I feel like they could do it. Will they? Probably
That
not.
is what they should do. That is what they should point to at this point.
Bro, and speaking of Europa League, Man United, that's the other team really going for it because there ain't no way they're getting Champions League football. You got the coach saying he's ready to use a 60-year-old trainer instead of Rashford because Rashford's not putting in enough
What?
effort.
Amarim is saying some.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said this.
I can find the exact quote, but he's saying the reason Rashford's not playing or getting any time is simply down to training.
Yeah.
He's like after in training, he said he'll take his 56-year-old, assistant coach, whatever, if he's putting in more effort than Rashford, because Rashford is just not putting in the time.
Yo, Man United.
They're
Man-
coaches, bro.
Man United
Yeah.
managers just love slandering their players, especially their black players, like publicly, bro.
It's weird. Like
It's very odd.
it's very odd. As a coach, you're not supposed to like.
I wouldn't just say black too, because he wasn't fucking with Garnacho either. This new guy.
They're not
But-
gonna let you get that off, but you can
Yeah.
say it.
You can say it though.
I said
You can say it.
Exactly.
Ten Hag and Sancho, bro.
No, that was extreme.
That's true.
What you say about Garnacho?
Well,
It's the same thing.
he dropped both of them from the squad at the same time because of
Yeah,
training.
but Garnacho got back in the team.
Maybe Rashford is trying to leave too. So if I'm Rashford, I get it. Like,
for sure.
just get out of there, bro.
For sure.
Just get out of there. And he has been the biggest advocate for Ahmad, who's been
but it's
balling out.
silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
As a coach, it's silly. Like you need.
Yeah.
You need. What's the phrase? Wash dirty laundry at home.
Yeah,
Like,
facts.
Jesus,
come on,
Christ.
bro.
Let's see if I can find the
Um,
exact quote. But go ahead.
Speaking of, come on, bro. Antony to Betis. I think this is like one of the funniest signings of the season.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? What did Antony, like, real question for y'all, what did Antony do to deserve like a move?
Wrong question.
I think
That's exactly why he
I
needs
think
the
that's
move.
why he needs the move.
Yeah.
But like it's not like
You're saying for Betis?
because in my opinion, this is a step up for him. Like going from in my opinion, going from a
He's right,
trashy
Shout out those
United
Beticos, man.
to a Betis team that's actually fighting for like a top 6 spot in the league, might even find their way in Europe next season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like that's a step up at this point. So for me, I was like, what did he do to deserve that? Has he even played this season?
But okay, so Betis desperately needs offensive help.
Okay.
Like desperately. Their top goal scorer in La Liga is a midfielder with 7 goals. Credit to him. But after that, it's in like 4, and then everyone has 2. Their top assister has 2 assists. Statistically, offensively, they really need the help.
Gotcha.
I think they did a really good job of identifying unused talent right now. And Antony is exactly that. He's unused talent at Man United. It was never a good environment for him. He was never fully supported. I don't think the Prem is the right league for him at all whatsoever. And he's still only 24. I didn't even realize how young he is. So I think it's a really smart decision from Betis. And how many times have we seen the people that we think are cooked or like not good to go anymore be successful on loan or just get a change of scenery? So I think for Betis, it's going to really pay off.
This is Mr. Spinneroonie.
Yeah.
Mr.
I agree with you, though. I agree. I think Antony going to Betis, if you really look at the move, it is a step up.
100.
He's going from a bottom table team to a top half of the table team who is competing for a European spot. It is by definition a step up.
I will say Betis is in 10th, but they are, if they win, they'll be right up to like
they're
6th.
in 10th, but like it's like
It's very tight. It's very tight. Yeah,
37.30. Like
And their likelihood is a lot higher because based on how the Prem is going this season, I just don't know how United gets any top 6. Similar to what we just said about Tottenham, United needs to win the Europa League to get into Europe.
What I will say, though, is that I don't think he's gone to a better media team.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen a transfer
Okay.
signing video.
Let me defend my dad's people real quick.
No.
Go ahead. No,
Anthony's transfer signing video to Betis.
There's
I think
multiple
is the
videos.
Worst.
There's
No, but
multiple videos.
That video is the worst. You can hear the paper rustling, bro.
yeah.
It didn't even
It
edit
was
the
definitely
audio.
Yo.
just like, was it?
Can you show me what it was?
This ain't cool, man. They got the
Was it supposed to be
6
satire?
horizontal to
So-
fit the
so
16 by 9.
What they were going for, and we'll put it right here, is the Como video
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
have like the large screen covering his face, and you're like, moving the.
But I'm saying, was it satire? Or was that like, oh, this is fire?
I think it's.
I think it's satire.
It can't be.
I think it's satire. And if you look at their page, that's the most viewed one, besides of one of the ones in the
They
stadium.
did a good job.
So
Marketing did a
yeah,
Good job.
They did a
that
good
one's
job.
got 18.4 million. Then there's one of him doing his first Spanish lesson, 25 million. They have him doing it. And listen, in the
Doing
wait, listen. In the more official of him like putting on the kit, pointing and everything, they have him doing the circle spinny thing in the promo
way.
video.
They're
I love
trolling
that.
us.
Yeah,
They're
I think
trolling us.
I love it, bro. And I do some sort of stuff for Betis, so I think they try to be funny. I like it. I think it's a good move. They need it.
Yeah.
They need it, bro. And he's got some fellow Brazilian, Vitor Roque, the young guy. He used to be on Barca's up there too. So maybe they can start cooking, man. Big game against Bilbao. Let's see what happens.
Guys, speaking of transfers moving into La Liga, we just talked about a couple, but as La Liga fantasy team owners, make sure that you guys are keeping up with all the new players joining La Liga, all these players that you could be bringing onto your team who just moved into the league. We're going to tell you guys about some players that you should be keeping an eye out on. And Gabe, you want to start?
Yeah, for sure. I think Antony on Real Betis is a great pickup for your fantasy team. If you don't know, Betis are desperately in need of some offensive help, and that's exactly why they brought him in. So the purpose of him on that wing is going to be able to really contribute to it with tangible statistics, which is exactly what you're looking for in fantasy. So I really think he's going to elevate the team in terms of both goals and assists, which of course are the biggest metrics within fantasy footy. So I think he's just going to absolutely ball out from that position. He has a great midfield with him as well. Isco, Lo Celso, talented young guy up top in Vitor Roque. So he does have a good group of guys to play off of, as well as American Johnny Cardoso. So I think he's going to really elevate their offense and get those kind of stats that you need in fantasy.
Kendrick?
Yeah, for me, I would suggest picking up Max Aarons, new signing for Valencia coming from Bournemouth. Fullback, attacking mindset, but also very strong in the back on the defensive end. Honestly, one of my biggest secrets in the fantasy world is to get a defensive is to pick up a defensive player who can also get forward, because not only will you get points for his defensive prowess, but you might get a couple points sprinkled here and there for goals, assists, and everything in between. So if you're looking for somebody who's on a team right now that's pushing their way up into the table, the team is pushing to get goals, their team is pushing to get back, I'll pick up Max Aarons.
For me, it's got to be Ruben Vargas, who's just moved to Sevilla. He's a player that I really would want on my fantasy team because he's just someone who's fun to watch. For me, when I'm watching fantasy players, I want to make sure that that player is actually fighting on the field as well because there's someone that's like actually enjoyable. And Ruben Vargas is the definition of like a gritty, fight for every ball type player. He's coming in from Augsburg, and he's a player that can play both wide and centrally, and so he can give you a little bit of offense in the middle and get some goals. He can get some assists as well. And he's someone who's proven it on the international stage as well. I don't know if you remember in the Euros, he had a really good tournament with Switzerland. But Ruben Vargas is someone that will be consistently playing for Sevilla. He's not injury prone at all, and that's a lot. That's very important for fantasy managers. Low cost, whole lot of upside because he's going to be starting every game for Sevilla. So make sure you take a look out for him. And as always, 5-a-side followers, La Liga Fantasy is a tournament that you can join to play with us. And depending on how well you do, you could win some incredible prizes at the end of the season. So join up.
Question for you, Seb, as we get back to the leagues.
Yes.
What's going on with Milan, man? Why is the coach fighting your play?
I love it. And y'all won, which is even funnier.
Yeah,
Like, what? You would have thought it was a big L or something.
So it's odd because last week we talked about how in the Italian media, we don't really care about players going to parties.
Is that what happened?
So what happened was Calabria, Teo Hernandez, Camarda, and Loftus-Cheek doesn't really count because he's injured, went to a concert on Friday. Not even a party, a concert.
Calm.
Now, I don't think that this is the reason why there was a problem, but I know that
Who was the concert?
Ladza, Italian rapper, good
Gotcha.
rapper.
Probably trash.
He's decent. He's a Milan fan, so that's why the Milan players went because he's like been at their games.
Yeah.
Anyways, Calabria this season has been the victim of, unfortunately, like I would say the worst level of hate that can possibly exist in sports for players. Like if you look at his comments, it's like sad. Like he's a product of the club, and it's a bit much to like. I don't think he can like go outside of Milan without getting like verbally abused. There's like videos of people. Like,
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it too, but not even in his comments.
Why did you look at me like that?
No, because I'm like, bro, I will go to any Milan highlight on
Yeah.
CBS Sports.
Yeah.
Like Calabria's trash.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
okay.
bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserves it because I think he's
Not
actually
funny, but-
he's a decent player to
Yeah.
be honest.
Oh shit.
So and I think like mentally for him it's been a bit tough because they brought in Emerson Royale who's like clearly worse than him,
Yeah.
and
You hate
then
him,
he
but
got to
he's
start,
good.
and now they've brought in Kyle Walker, and so I think Calabria just
There's 3 right backs.
There's 3 right backs.
Jesus
Not
Christ,
to
this
mention,
close.
not to mention Florenzi is coming back from injury, who's our 4th right back. Not to mention Terracciano, who's our 5th right back. So I
Yo,
think for
5
him-
right backs is crazy. Y'all gonna get your priorities straight, man. Ain't nobody scoring
agree.
goals up top.
I
Like, what are
agree.
you going
I
on,
agree.
bro?
I agree.
You got Morata as your 9.
I agree. So
got
I
a
think
5th
for him,
right back.
it's been a bit of a difficult and like emotionally tough season. And so we won the game, but he got subbed off.
Crazy.
And when he got subbed off, they brought Musa on. Musa made a mistake,
I'm sorry.
and Musa gives the ball up. And so I think at the end of the game, Calabria was kind of like a little bit moody. And Conceição, apparently the rumors about him, like he seems to like be an angry guy because he broke a TV in Saudi Arabia. He broke a TV in the locker room.
He
last
looked like a
week.
mobster, bro. You stay
Nah,
smoking
bro, he
cigars
looked like
and
the
shit.
stories that come out.
He looked like if you like accidentally bumped into him at a
Nah.
bar, he's like,
No,
boom.
you know
yeah,
what's,
you up,
what's
bro.
funny is
Help
his
you up, man.
his partner on his coaching staff. I think his name is Kamara. It's cool because I haven't really seen coaching staff who are not black have black coaching staff like under them. So
Fire.
that's it's cool. He's like clearly following Conceição like directly behind him, shadowing because he knows what's about to happen. So the second Conceição yells, he like grabs him. The players get
That's
behind him.
so funny.
But I mean, they clarified it after. They said, okay, it was just like, you know, the heat of the moment, got a little too angry. But like, you can't do that on the field. And it's
After a
nuts-
win.
it's nuts that a manager is running at a player after a game. You just won the game.
Yeah, it's insane.
And like,
It looks crazy.
It
it looks
nuts.
The optics are
crazy.
but I don't mind it personally because
Passion?
we need a little bit of personality. Our
do
past
need some
managers-
personality.
No, I do like it. For me personally, as a fan, I appreciate a manager
Yeah.
who actually gets pissed off. Our past couple managers have just
Yeah.
been like, they've been too smiley, too jokey, not enough energy.
Yeah.
I appreciate a manager that actually is gonna get pissed off.
I like passion, like that Mourinho.
Yeah.
Or the ultimate aura, everyone fucks with me, Ancelotti and Zidane.
Sure.
But those are very hard to
needs to
come
get
by.
there.
Those are very hard to come by for sure. Speaking of lack of passion, Thiago Motta and Juventus. What's going on over there, bro?
I think it's early. He's
Yeah, I think people are dragging it a little bit.
Juventus is like a cancerous organization.
Ooh, wow.
So no, I mean it's true. Like
I mean, it's true.
I'm so sorry, it's true. So like it's gonna take him some time to like heal that and get a little because what we're seeing for Juventus right now is the same mentality that Allegri put into that Juventus club for years.
Yeah,
defensive, sluggish, and slow and boring. So it'll take him a little bit of time.
Saying Wendy isn't everything, and I know Juve fans don't like that, but
Yeah, it's a
what's up
fact.
with you, man?
I think another thing that we need to talk about today
Yes, sir.
is Afcon.
Yes,
Absolutely. Let's cover it for AFCON one time, man. The best continental cup out there. That's a
The
fact.
number one international competition in the world,
By far.
other than the World Cup,
Other than the World Cup.
Yeah.
is back this December 2025
Yes, sir.
in Morocco. We got Ivory Coast. We got Cameroon. We got
Nigeria.
Nigeria. We got Comoros. We got Equatorial Guinea.
Ghana?
We got Ghana.
No Ghana?
Ghana.
Damn.
Ghana.
Tough, bro.
No Ghana.
It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up.
I'm very excited for this competition. I think like last year, for me at least, was the peak of AFCON in terms of the publicity.
Yeah.
In terms of the quality of the matches, in terms of the excitement, the drama, the Ivorian head coach getting fired,
The cameraman.
moving on, finding out that they move on afterwards, and the interim coach leading them all the way to the championship.
Shit's
Like, all
fucking
the-
crazy.
yeah, just
the watch
all-
party, everything.
Watch party, everything. It's been a good time. So
Yeah.
I think, I'm excited for it. And it was cool to see the former Senegalese head coach Cisse, who won it with them a couple years ago, actually be at the ceremony and
Fire.
in the teams and stuff. So
Yep.
that was like a good moment for me because I was like, damn, it was sad to see him go, but
Yeah.
it's good to see him like
He's found a
continue
role.
to
Yeah.
continue to be appreciated in the space. So how do y'all feel about the groups? Is there any upsets that you see?
I think the fun thing about AFCON is that because Africa just geographically has so many fucking countries, there's like every group is balanced.
Yeah.
Like every group has at least 2, maybe some 3 teams that could make it out. And so there's no group of death because every group is a group of death. And African football is so hard to predict.
It is the hardest to predict.
Like you literally like
Let me see the group.
you have no idea who could go through. The groups
Yeah.
are incredible. And I think it's gonna be really fun because like the Moroccans are gonna show out, of course.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that the Egyptians won't pull up too. It doesn't mean that the Nigerians won't pull up as well. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Early favorites for me, maybe Egypt.
Maybe Egypt. Yeah.
Because who knows?
Yep.
And if we're going off of betting odds, there's a pretty decent likelihood we're gonna have Mohamed Salah coming off of his Ballon d'Or win.
Yeah.
Just off betting odds, still early in the season, but if you had to pick a number one player right now, it's probably Mohamed Salah. You have him coming off of that. You have Marmoush with bare minimum an insane first half of the season.
Yep.
We'll see how he does the second half. I think he's already looked pretty good in his
Looked great in
debut.
his debut.
And he's gonna get better with time.
Yeah.
And he's a young guy too. So Egypt, who's won it before, they're one of the powerhouses in Africa.
Yep.
I think they're gonna put up quite the battle, and they have been a little disappointing recently.
Indeed.
So to have Salah in the best form of his career, maybe coming off a Ballon d'Or, Marmoush as the next rising star, not to mention the other talent on that team, I think Egypt would be probably my early favorite. Other than host Morocco, because they're at home, they have a great squad too.
Yeah.
So I think North Africa's probably gonna get it, would be my guess. But we'll see. You never know with AFCON.
The Nigerians have some
Nigerians
firepower.
They do.
They've matured though. I know.
I'm waiting on they didn't make the final, but I'm waiting on I like to see it though. I support it.
They have
I
some
support it.
firepower up top.
No, they haven't. The up top's
And-
crazy.
And in the midfield as well.
Yeah, man. Lookman, Boniface, Osimhen, that's crazy.
Chukwueze.
Poof.
Yeah.
Crazy.
For me, I'm really excited for the opening match. It's gonna be Morocco versus Comoros, which is the team that actually ultimately led to the elimination of Ghana.
Yeah.
And they're known as the giant killers because like they constantly show up in these matches where they're expected to get fully dominated and they actually come out with a win. And so I don't know. I'm already foreseeing a situation like Argentina versus Saudi in the World Cup where everybody's like, "Wake up! This is the first match of the tournament. We're gonna see a blowout," but then we see like a crazy upset. So I'm really excited for it.
And that sometimes
We'll be
spurs
there.
on the champion. We will be there. Sometimes that spurs on the champion. Spain
Facts.
lost the first game. Argentina lost the first game. Maybe that'll happen to host Morocco as well.
Inshallah, we'll be.
Yeah. What do we think the media attention around AFCON is going to be this time around?
gonna be
I think the
massive because it's in
beginning
Morocco.
level is going to be higher than even last time. Last time
yeah,
it
yeah.
grew, and by the end you're like, wow, what a tournament.
Yeah.
I think the start is going to be like, oh, AFCON is on, y'all.
Yep.
And it's going to be almost like a pre-World Cup in the sense of this is the last big international tournament before 6 months later is the World Cup,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is crazy that it's that close. So
It's gonna be a good time. It starts around the holidays,
yeah,
Christmas time. So like people will be on vacation, relaxing, spending time with family. Let's watch some Afcon.
And I think
sure.
it actually gives these African nations quite a bit of a head start for the World Cup.
yeah, competitive matches that close to it.
Yeah, it's quite good.
All right, and speaking of Africa, we have an Ethiopian legend, Naomi Girma, who has just signed for a record $1.1 million to sign with Chelsea from the San Diego Waves. Let's clap it up for Naomi. That's an unbelievable moment for women's football,
Indeed.
which just continues to grow time and time again in viewership, in the finances, in branding, in the vibes, the talent. Everything about it just keeps growing. So major, major congrats to her. And I know Kendrick got some extra facts on that too.
Nah, I mean, it's cool to see. I don't think we've
Yeah.
seen like an Ethiopian player come out of the U.S. At this level.
It's a
and
fact.
just like dominate the game.
She's
She's
the
the-
best defender in the world. Best
Yeah,
defender in the world.
defender in the world. She's the first Ethiopian to represent the U.S. women's national team. And there's a quote from her that she said in her interview with the BBC that I wanted to quickly quote. She said, "A lot of times as a first generation kid or as an immigrant, you don't really see people in places you want to go, doing what you want to do, and it's hard to dream for that." Basically, she's talking about how she's able to be that representation for little Ethiopian girls who
Yeah.
may not see that sort of representation on the U.S. women's national team. And, she talked about in her interview when she went to Chelsea, like, I never thought I would be here. Like,
Mhm.
she started playing soccer when she was little for her father's team. And the whole idea of it was to just get people in the community together, get parents to spend time with each other.
Yeah.
So to just see her rapid growth and everything that she's been through, too, her teammate.
Yeah, committing
When
suicide
she was
in Stanford.
in college at
Mhm.
Stanford, her teammate famously committed suicide, and they right after they won a national championship as well together.
Yep.
So she's just been through a lot. She represents a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so for her to come to my club,
It's lit.
Chelsea, it's a beautiful thing, man.
And on top of that, too, speaking of the Ethiopian American point, we now have young Ethiopian Lily Johannes, who's only about 16, 17 years old,
Correct.
who made her decided to play for the U.S. national team rather than the Netherlands. So that's another Ethiopian American we have on the
Correct.
squad, and is looking for more growth in that aspect for sure.
Yeah, man. The East Africans stand up.
Come on, you know the vibes. Isak balling out right now.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? Those are my people, bro. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with you. Heavy.
People is insane.
It's true. They claim me, bro. They claim me.
That's a
So
fact.
those are my guys and girls for sure. Speaking of
Wait.
homeland ties.
Before we move on, I was just researching this because I wanted to make a point.
Oh, sure.
The first player to be bought for $1 million in the men's game was a player by the name of Giuseppe Savoldi, who was bought by Napoli. This was in 1957.
Okay.
So in terms of how far the women's game has progressed in as short of a time, mathematically it's progressing much fucking faster than the
It
men's
is.
game. So 1 million today probably means that the acceleration of the women's game by the time we are in our 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
will be probably where the men's game was in the 90s, early 2000s, which means that the gap is not
shortening.
Is shortening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's good that you mentioned that because, for instance, tennis, for those who don't know, is completely the same with the prize money for every major championship. So the stadiums are equally filled. They're playing at the same time. So Australian Open, you have men's and women's. Right? You have an 8 p.m. final. An 8 p.m. final, winner gets the 10 million or whatever it is.
Yep.
U.S. Open, French Open, Wimbledon. So we have examples of men and women getting actually exact equal pay.
Yep.
We had the landmark moment in the U.S. national team with U.S. soccer as well, where the women got the equal pay there too. So eventually, that is the goal, to get to a point where it is large enough that it can demand that kind of finances.
Exactly.
And people forget, again, it's a good point that you bring up. The women's game is just much younger.
Yeah.
Trying to compare it directly to where the men's game right now is not logical in any format.
Exactly.
I think the first Women's World Cup was like fallacy, exactly. Logical fallacy.
A
First,
red herring, as they
come on, man. First Women's World Cup.
It's true.
First Women's World Cup, I believe, was 1991. First Men's World Cup was 1930. So again, as Seb mentioned, the speed of the growth is probably even faster than what's going on with the men's.
It's much
and the gap is shortening, man. So big shout out to women's football. Shout out all the trailblazers there who have pushed through all the tough times, especially with all the hate that they get for absolutely no reason. So just big shout out to the women's game, man. You can catch us at Gotham games too. We'll talk about them
That's a
soon,
fact.
man. For sure.
Pause.
Yes.
What can we do left?
I was gonna do Neymar, Paris Fashion Week, and then
All right,
dip.
bet.
Yeah. And so
Do the World Cup stuff next time.
yeah. And I want to do shout out 2 singers super fast that I can just clip. And then of course, speaking of family ties, ethnic ties, going back home, Neymar is now officially going to go back home to Santos, where he made the first name for himself, was probably the biggest talent coming out of the country. The most hyped talent, I should say, coming out of the country. Of course, where Pele famously spent the majority of his entire career. Seb, what do you think? Because I know you got some AI shit about this.
So in terms of Neymar going to Santos, I'm worried. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'm worried because I don't know if it's good for his legacy. Like I said earlier, I don't know. I just don't think that he's going to be able to perform well. But what I hadn't thought about is that perhaps he's trying to make it to the World Cup. And maybe that's the platform he's going to use to make it to the 2026 World Cup, is playing in Brazil.
Why do you think it'll be bad for his legacy? He's been cooked the last couple of years.
Yeah, but
how could it get worse from there?
No, because imagine you have been away from home for quite a long time, and your family.
Don't compare it to me.
Imagine you have been away from home for a very long time, and your family hears of your misfortunes.
Yeah.
And then you get brought back home, and your family's like, "Okay, we're gonna take care of you," and you be fucking up at home too, and you burn the house down.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
That is essentially what could happen here. And also your family thinks that you're God.
They realize you're not.
You're not.
Just a gambler.
They're also wow.
He has gambling. This is not a
Neymar has a gambling addiction.
This is not a hidden secret, bro.
Oh, he Drake. Then
he was gambling at his daughter's birthday while they were singing. Anyways, we listen.
You're just a gambler. It's crazy.
We listen, but we don't judge.
We listen, but we don't judge.
One thing that people aren't really talking about, well, there's no reason why they were talking about it. I just came across this today. But people are talking about how Neymar's move to Santos is opening up positions for other big moves in other places. So, for example, Mohamed Salah. Mm-hmm. They're saying now that Al Hilal has that space that they're not spending on Neymar, it's creating space for them to be able to actually make a pull for Mohamed Salah.
They want Vinny too.
Tentative and Vinny Jr.
Yeah.
Who, I don't know if
that's not gonna happen.
Vinny is to leaving, but Mohamed Salah is a little bit more on his way out.
Yeah.
And there's a player also on Sheffield Wednesday. I'm forgetting his name, which is fucked up. Actually, I want to get his name right, so one of y'all continue.
I saw something about him potentially getting ownership stake in Santos as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a ton of reports about it, but someone talked to us yesterday about it. I did see one thing here, so I am curious to see how that works in terms of owning Club U. We'll see. Maybe it's for after he retires. But
that's interesting. But no, there's a player on Sheffield Wednesday named Josh Windass who has been balling out for them. He has 10 goals in 15 matches or something like that. But he was linked to Santos prior to the Neymar move, and people were kind of dispelling it. They're like, "Oh, it's not gonna happen," because he's very pivotal to that Sheffield Wednesday team right now. And people are saying that now, obviously, Neymar going back to Santos is a big draw for other players who are on these smaller teams who Santos has been trying to get. And now they're they might actually all go to Santos now to have the opportunity to play with Neymar. So there's it just goes to speak
domino
to
effects,
his how big he is in the sport. There's all these little effects that this transfer is having on other teams.
Another thing that came out was, and we'll put the video here, Santos put out a video. Actually, no. Before the transfer was even announced by Santos, Pele, may he rest in peace, his official Instagram page put out a video of him welcoming Neymar to Santos using an AI-generated voice that replicated the sound of his voice. And so the video goes on to say, "Oh, you're the only one who can wear the number 10. You're the prince. I'm the king. Welcome back. Blah blah blah." But he's passed away, and so that means someone had to write it and then find a way to then replicate his voice and then post it before the transfer was even official. I feel a little bit weird about it. That's all.
It's odd. Yeah,
I don't know.
I was looking for the video. I didn't see it.
It's on his Instagram.
I know I'm on his Instagram. I'm like, which one is this?
It's a reel.
It's a reel.
It's a reel. It's kind of weird.
At the end of the day, it's
did they delete it?
It's weird to have.
I don't see it.
Damn,
sorry.
Yo, fuck me, bro.
Damn. Bro, I was looking for the AI shit.
For 60 seconds.
No, you good. Sorry.
Nah, I was just. I don't even want to say it.
Nah, say it, bro. I was zoned out. That's why I was zoned out. I'm sorry.
Okay. Nah, I was just saying it's weird to have renditions of people who have passed away, like hearing their voice, because like you don't know if he actually believed any of that stuff that you're making him say.
Yeah.
Like we don't know if Pele would have been comfortable calling Neymar the prince or doing this whole shamumarang to like entice him to come back or create excitement.
Yeah.
It was deleted.
Yeah, it was deleted.
It was deleted.
Backlash.
Since deleted.
His family was probably like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
But they have to agree to those sort of things. Usually in the will.
People just be doing shit.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I
maybe it
don't
was
know.
Because the club hasn't officially announced the transfer.
Either way, this shit is weird.
It's weird.
Don't-
It's just
Yeah, I think it's
Don't
strange.
do that shit. If I pass away, God
Yeah,
forbid,
exactly.
No AI podcast
I
thing.
recreate my voice. And
Yeah.
me saying, "Oh, Kendrick would have loved for us to continue this podcast without him." No, I want you to stop that.
Put a little dummy in the chair and put the voice in it. Yeah. No, that's the whole thing with AI. It was in like when Drake used the Tupac voice to diss Kendrick, and everyone's like, "How the hell does that
Yeah,
work,
it's
bro?"
weird.
Yeah,
It's
it's very very strange.
Weird.
And some other quick footy news in the fashion world. We just had Paris Fashion Week, which footy had its footprints all over. So the legendary, very eclectic player, you should look up his history, Jibril Cisse, walked in a show at Paris Fashion Week, as did Destiny Udogie. We also had Pusha T pulling up at the Louis V show with a fly all-white fit, but actually wearing turf soccer cleats, which I thought was hella cool. You got Burna Boy linking up with the Real Madrid squad out there. So there was just a lot of footy going on at Paris Fashion Week. As usual, you know, footy is super tapped in with the fashion world. But yeah, I just thought it was super cool to see. We got the players walking in the shows. We got someone like Pusha T front row at the Louis V show wearing literal soccer cleats from Louis Vuitton, even though they're turf ones. We got the Real Madrid boys, I guess, just jetting over to Paris to hang out with Burna Boy, which I thought was hilarious too. So it was just cool to see. This is good vibes.
Yeah.
And then also Moyes walked at a show
Yep.
in Milan for, I think it was called PDF was the brand too. So Milan Fashion Week also just passed. It's just cool to see how deeply tapped in footy is in all aspects of culture. Because we talk in music, we could talk about Central C's album that just dropped and the footy references there, how tapped in he is with Chelsea. Footy's just everywhere, bro. NBA Paris, the soccer players were there too. So we everywhere, man. Footy's everywhere.
The LV, the Louis indoor shoes
Yeah.
thing that they make, the sneaker that they made is called the LV Footprint Soccer Sneaker. It is currently listed at $1,120.
Light work.
My birthday is coming up soon, so if you're wondering what to get me, I would highly recommend this in the black colorway. They're offering it in black, red, green, pink,
White.
white, which is what we saw Pusha T in. But I think it's fire, and I think at the end of the day, like in Pusha T, they did a video of him like getting ready for the show.
Yeah, the Vogue France. I watched that. Yeah.
And he talked about there how just like Paris to him is a city of culture and whatnot, and like
Yeah.
Pharrell just always constantly inspiring him to like be creative.
Yep.
And like you said, it's just cool to see like people are giving the recognition to soccer that it deserves. That like this is a big part of the culture. Like when we were younger, I don't know if y'all were doing this, but like
Oh, of course.
we was walking around
with
indoor
the
soccer shoes.
flats.
Like that was
Yeah.
just a part of like if you played soccer, those were one of the sneakers that you would just rock
Yeah.
outside. And so to see it make its way in high fashion is kind of
Yeah.
like a nod to folks who are like, yo, we've been doing this.
Yeah.
I just hope it becomes more accessible.
Yeah. I mean, Louis V is the top tier example of it, but
Yeah.
there's levels below that of
That's a
course
fact.
are more affordable.
It's a fact.
And my birthday is very soon, February 7th. So you already know. If you want to bring that to the Aquarius season, Vino Friday, I'll let you in for free. I'll let you into Vino free for the rest of its existence, actually, if you bring me those somehow. And I'll wear them for the night too. So yeah.
This week in our Bundesliga news section or segment covering Bundesliga news, there's breaking news in the Bundesliga.
Redo that, bro.
There's no need to.
You just repeated the same thing.
If the Bundesliga is a league that we cover
This week in the
this
Bundesliga
segment,
news,
for
the
this
segment
segment,
where we're
We're
talking
keeping all
about
this in.
news for
All of this is
Bundesliga.
being kept in. Anyway,
fuck it, we should keep it in, bro.
we will.
Okay, shout out YouTube.
There's big news in the Bundesliga though, because referees are going to be announcing their calls in a VAR style, like similar to what happens in the NFL, where refs go up to the mic and they tell the fans, "This is what we're seeing and this is what we're deciding." It's the first time that something like this has ever happened in professional soccer. This weekend, 9 Bundesliga teams will be trying out this technology. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys for it, against it?
Yeah, I'm for it. I think that with VAR and it's still relatively new, there can be a lot of confusion at times.
Yes.
So why not tell the fans exactly what's going on? The reason we stopped the game and the referee's going to the monitor is to look at this specific decision. And once the decision is made, it is then announced out loud through the stadium speakers to all the fans, and the players will hear it at the same time as well. So I think it adds a little bit of anticipation, but most importantly for me, I think it just gives a little bit more visibility for fans, because whether you're in the stadium or watching from home, it can actually be very confusing at times.
Yeah.
What the decisions, the decision can be very confusing at times to witness. So this will bring a lot more clarity, I think, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the NFL has been doing this since like 1970s. NBA has been doing this for over 20 years. This is like a very standard thing in a lot of other major sports. And like you said, the important thing is referees having the opportunity to explain themselves.
Yep.
So it's not just like, oh, offsides, the ruling is offsides. It's like, no, the referee actually has to get on a mic and be like, it's offside because the player's elbow was in front of the last defender at the time that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like actually explain.
Yep.
And it's good for people who may not be as familiar with the sport as well.
For sure.
Who have no idea what this call means, but it's like, okay, the referee's actually telling you like this was the violation.
Right.
So
Especially because nobody knows what the hand signs really mean.
Yeah. It's
Like sometimes they put the hand up, sometimes the pointing's not very clear. Like
Yep.
I think just bring understanding. So that's a great point though about explaining the call too. That's a very good point.
yeah.
And I think it shows, because it's the first time that something like this is happening in the top 5 leagues. I think it's interesting because it shows that the Bundesliga is progressive enough to try new things, to see what works, what doesn't work, what'll help the fans have a better experience, what won't. They're not tied to tradition to make it like, okay, this is how we've done it, and because it's worked for this long, we're not going to see if there's anything new that can work.
Exactly.
Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be weird. Maybe it won't land the way it lands in American sports, but at least they're trying it, which I appreciate.
I'll say this too. I hear a lot less controversy about refs in Bundesliga than in some of the other leagues. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the other leagues. So
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the Bundesliga cares.
it does care. Bundesliga cares, man.
Speaking of, American things entering the Bundesliga, we have the Super Bowl coming up, and the Bundesliga has
We do.
a long-standing partnership with the NFL. So our themed question for the week is, who are the Eagles and who are the Chiefs in the Bundesliga? What do you guys think? I'll start with you guys. Who do you guys think the Eagles are?
I think the Eagles could be Frankfurt, because I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the fans in Philly, but they're going absolutely wild. And the fan culture there, I think, could be comparable to the fans in Frankfurt, which you could argue are some of the best in Germany. So it's debatable, and it's kind of hard to do some of the comparisons on the field and based on how they're doing in the different leagues and history and things of that nature. But strictly off of that sort of fan culture and coming from one of the bigger cities, but not the biggest city in the country too, being Philadelphia and Frankfurt, I think I would go with Frankfurt as a Philadelphia Eagles.
I think for me, the Eagles are as close to. I think for me, the closest team in the Bundesliga is Leverkusen. I think the Eagles kind of have that flashy personality to them. They have the players who dress the best in the league, similarly to Leverkusen, who have players like Frimpong, Boniface, Wirtz, who have kind of gotten a reputation for being stylish. And then also like the Eagles have some of the flashiest players on the field as well. And Saquon Barkley, for example, who had that crazy 360 spin jump over the defender.
Behind him, crazy.
Behind the back.
Yeah, it was crazy.
spin.
It's crazy.
And then we have exciting players, like I said, Frimpong and Wirtz, who are constantly dazzling fans with their insane trickery. And so, yeah, I think that's the comparison I make.
If I have to give you guys who the Chiefs are, I think it's pretty obvious. It's got to be Bayern.
Has to.
Winners always, like both clubs are and both teams are always winning. And I think fans are getting, maybe even a little bit tired of it and kind of like,
For sure.
like to root against them. But at the end of the day, you can't say that those clubs aren't the clubs or the teams that have won or are going to win the most. And the other thing is they have huge stars, Kelsey, Mahomes, Kane, Musiala, Muller, and even their colors, the red and yellow, the red and blue. And I think the fan culture, while, people like to hate on like Chiefs fans, they're insane.
Super passionate.
People
Super passionate.
Stadiums.
Yeah. Allianz
People
Arena.
do like to hate on Bayern fans, but at the end of the day, you can't deny how passionate they are. So I think those are some good comparisons.
Yeah, Bayern has the record amount of consecutive Bundesliga titles, and the Chiefs are now going for a record third straight Super Bowl as well. So that's an exact comparison for sure.
Anyway, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Hopefully, the team that you want to win takes it home. And the Bundesliga says that we'll see you there.
Absolutely. Before we get out of here, any quick music picks that y'all want to holla?
Take it away.
I'm just going to find this name to make sure I'm not tweaking. Well, first, actually, let me just shout out Central C. We all listen to the Central C album.
Yeah.
He's in a rap beef right now, though, huh?
Kind of. It might be playful because the comment under H's post, I feel like it's not like on some serious Drake Kendrick, like, but there is some level of beef for sure. But I just got to say.
Call him a racist.
Wait, H called Central C, right? I listened to the song. I didn't peep that.
You call him a
It was the
racist.
Up North accent. But the Can't Rush Greatness, I thought was a phenomenal album. I think it's the best rapping I've heard from Central C. And I've heard of a lot of Americans who have already been tapped in with Central C. I think right now is probably currently the most popular. But I think it takes them to another level to satisfy outside of your city audiences through just bars and not having it to be a major hit that's played in the club or things of that nature. The fact that you can be at the gym just listening to some new Central C. You can be in the whip. You can be on the train, whatever it is. And it's the quality and the level of rapping showing that he's not just a one-trick pony. Even though sometimes the production can be a little bit standard at times, like the level of rapping, the fact that he's just not trying to replicate hits, and the fact that he's not just doing overly TikTok-y songs either, when the album could have been like that, I'm very, very impressed. And I think by the end of the year, will be one of the better rap albums of the year. Maybe not number one, but I feel like you look at the year in rap, you're going to say, no, Central C had one of the hardest, regardless of where he's from. And it just felt like I'm not listening to a rapper from London. I'm just listening to a dope rapper who happens to be from London.
Yeah, and he kind of stepped away from like the drill.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. Yeah.
It's just like a lot of like, oh, I sell drugs. And like he talked about that a little bit, but he also had a vulnerable side to him on this. And as a lover boy myself, I appreciated all the tunes about like, you know, him going through heartbreak or dealing with stuff with his family, or even just talking about like the speed at which he blew up and realizing like, oh, I actually can't bring everybody with me. Like some people like just don't fit in my life at this point. So I don't know. It was very vulnerable. I'm sure like people close to him are probably like, yo, I didn't know you actually felt that way.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate it when artists like when they put the pen to paper and it's like, I could feel this. Like I feel what he's trying to say.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Up?
On the Cinch album?
Yeah.
I haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
I don't have thoughts.
And you know me, I'm here for all the diligent raps. Just very, very inspiring music, and it is very true that you cannot rush greatness. But in terms of R&B, I got to give a big shout out to Jalisa with her EP that just dropped called Do You Feel the Same? So if you're a fan of Cleo Soul, I feel like this is a perfect sort of album for you. Super smooth, super luxurious, calm vibes. I feel like it sounds and feels like a lit candle at either the end of the night or maybe your Sunday morning while you're cleaning, getting the crib feeling good with your morning coffee, opening up the blinds, getting natural light in. So very calm, very soothing vibes. I think it's very good early in the morning or late at night. So yeah, big shout out to Jalisa, relatively new artist. Once again, the EP is called Do You Feel the Same? And yeah, again, Cleo Soul fans, I think this is perfect for y'all. Any other music picks? We good?
That's it.
All right, episode 76. We'll see y'all for a very special episode 77. Black History Month theme. Cannot wait. Talk to y'all very, very soon. Peace.